The final area of Requiem might seem intimidating at first, but just grab a ghost, boost along the right hand side of the area, and go into the tunnel at the back of the area. And all those enemies behind you, they'll just despawn by the time you get back. Now that's one area dealt with. Now I'll tell you how to do the rest of the mission.
All ground teams to secure the tower entrance above us.
Welcome, I'm RC, and this is the second level of Halo 4, Requiem on LASO, Legendary All Schools On, or LASO if you're worried about pronunciation, even though English is not a phonetic language. So, when I say LASO, Legendary All Schools On, I mean all of them, including the Blind Skull, including Iron. No pussyfooting around here. This is basically the same as Mythic difficulty, the unofficial difficulty above Legendary, if you ever heard of that. This is by far the fastest run of this level so far. It's taken less than half the time of other runs that I've seen. So I did it in under 18 minutes, as I said, about 17 minutes 55 seconds. The first bit of this isn't very interesting, and you actually don't need any of the weapons in here. You'll get everything you need on the way. So if you want to skip ahead to about 3 minutes in the video, that's when tricks will actually start happening. That's when we've actually got some enemies to deal with. This first bit is just driving along and walking. If not, you can stay with me and we'll admire the scenery together.
Covenant? I don't think so. The pattern's different. I'll try to triangulate its position.
Ooh. Foreigners like their big towers, don't they? So as I said, there are Furod guns, there are sniper rifles, there are BRs, there's a saw, there's carbines, there's plasma pistols. I think there's even a needler in that first area. Don't really need any of them, so don't bother walking around trying to get anything, because everything you need will be right there in front of your path further on into the mission.
It is possible that getting home could help me find a solution for my rampancy.
How?
Well, as far as I know, I'm the only AI ever generated from living tissue. A clone of
Now you might be thinking, wow, there are actually a lot of enemies on this mission, so how does he get through it so quickly? Well, that's because you don't actually have to deal with all of the enemies. In the first area, for example, in the bowl area as I like to call it, don't have to deal with any of those enemies. In the second area, the gate, as it's known in Spartan Ups, you don't have to deal with those enemies at all either. Using the same trick, in fact, which shall be revealed very shortly.
I'm hearing that strange signal again.
I'm going to deal with some of them just to make things go along a little bit quicker.
I'm curious more than anything.
So as you get to the entrance to the bowl area, about here, turn around and just backtrack. And then you're going to go all the way back to the last jump where there's a gap in the path, and then you're going to jump back across that gap, hit a loading zone, and that's going to actually despawn all the enemies in that area. And you can repeat that same trick for all of the enemies all the way up until the Cartographer building. I'm just going to do it twice, because that's the easiest and the fastest combination that I've found so far. So that's the loading point. Careful on those jumps. First is just a sprint jump across, and then it's a little bit of a crouch jump up to the side. And then just a normal jump to finally get up onto the other side. Then you're going to drive back. And I'm going to actually bring a ghost with me, since I can actually drive that up over the ledges and bring it into the next area with me. And then so when I backtrack for the second time at the gate, I'll be able to boost a lot of the way back. Now there is an elite here, right at the end, just around the corner with a concussion rifle, that this despawn did not get rid of, because he wasn't spawned yet. But he's not too much of a problem if you get up to him close like that. Grab a carbine and a plasma pistol. As I said, everything you need right in front of you. He'll get surprised, he'll often jump back, he'll often raise his arms up in the air and rage at you for a little bit. And so then he's very easy to kill like that. Just getting it up there, using a little bit of negotiation. I'm going to do that a couple of times, so you'll be able to look at that trick a few times. So jump out, Make sure you've got a carbine, not a plasma pistol like I'm going to do. Whoops. Frantic weapon swapping.
If we're going to hijack a ship from these Covenant, we're going to have to find where they're
So in the
landing
gate
first.
there are actually 3 stages of the spawns to the enemies. The first is when you get right here. Then you have to get in a little deeper to spawn the second set of enemies. So you can actually backtrack right now. But I'm actually looking for a Gun Grunt that often comes down that path. He's not there this time. That means I can just proceed as I would normally, but if he is there, you do need to take him out, otherwise he's very dangerous. So I'm getting to this point, and coming back. That means the second lot of enemies in this area are spawned, so I don't have to do the despawn multiple times. I only need to do it once to take out 2 sets of enemies in this area. Whoops, this bit is a bit narrow. To go in at an angle the other way. So I'm going to boost all the way back to the same place. Now this is the last time I'm going to do it, because it is pretty tedious. This is a long way back. But you can do it as often as you like for every single stage of the enemies up to the Cartographer building. I just didn't want to make the video too boring. So I'm going to show you this jump again. Exactly the same. Sprint jump. Then a little crouch jump up to there. And then jump up normally. Hit the loading zone. It'll pause for a couple of seconds as it's loading the previous areas. And then that'll get rid of the enemies that have already spawned. And then so in the gate area, the final group of enemies with the Camo Elite and 3 Grunts and 2 Jackals. Those haven't actually spawned yet because you have to get much deeper into the area. So those will still be there by the time I get all the way back there. You can do the despawn again and come all the way back. But again, that's going to be way too tedious for a video and trying to do a sort of a speed run. So I'm actually just going to take out those enemies, which isn't actually too hard. The Ghost is going to help. Elite in particular is very surprised by the appearance of the Ghost. So I'm just turning it sideways, trying to bump it up on top of it. And then I'm getting it around this pillar. And then here I want to go sort of in looking to the left. Sometimes you can jump up, raising the nose of the Ghost with the RB button. Sometimes you can just sort of bump straight over that area. It'll take a little bit of a finessing to get used to this. But it's quicker than just running it. So all those enemies are gone. 2 elites, a whole bunch of grunts, some of them with Furod guns, and a whole bunch of jackals. And even some more up on this level of the tower. Then these final enemies have spawned now. There's the elite. Tried to kill him with a splatter straight away. No matter, I'll just splatter the other guys. And he's so shocked, he's still in the same place. You can either do what I did, or you can just take it a bit slower, headshot the grunts, and use an overcharge on the elite, or a bit of a fancy assassination on him.
That elite dropped his camo module. Let's have a look.
Do need the camo module to open the door.
I'll run a soft patch to it from the suit. Never know what might come in handy.
So I'm going to bring the Ghost with me. Unfortunately, I can't take it much further. I can just bring it up to the little cutscene as we have a look at the Cartographer for the first time, and then it just despawns.
There's that phantom signal.
But since it's here, it's intact. It's a little bit faster than walking. I'm going to bring it with me.
Sentinels.
I wondered when they'd show up. There, Chief. A console in the back.
Now I always like to go to the one on the right first, and that's because of the geometry difference in between the right and the left side.
Okay. In service of Forerunner.
And that's right as you're looking out from where the Cartographer switch is.
Requiem. At least we know where we are now.
Let's see if it can tell us what the Covenant.
I hate and skip up those cutscenes, by the way. I really do.
Huh.
What happened?
I don't
So
know.
I'm going right, hit the
It locked
buttons.
up.
Obviously don't have to worry too much about the status of my shields since they'll get drained anyway at this point.
I'll put them up for you. Hopefully we can find some way.
Then there's going to be
get
2
Cartographer
elites,
back
a
online.
whole bunch of grunts, and some jackals. But actually, if you leave the majority of them, or at least the jackals, I believe, it's something like that. Don't try to kill too many of them.
This energy is
I'm
actually
running
a
here, and then I
power
noticed
data
the elite
field.
actually is running along really
These
slowly.
fields are just
This was
cycling and
completely made
exposed
up
to
on the spot.
chamber's charge.
Usually he runs past way too quick.
Bring the cartographer back online.
But I just saw it, took the opportunity.
Actually, this
If you
type
can
of
do it,
processing
great, but
system
don't bank on that.
usually works
That's
in
not part
parallel.
of anything I'm trying to educate you or teach you about it or guide you with anything. You can take out that elite in the same way I'm going to take out this elite, more or less. Because I got my shields back, I was more aggressive. Come along here and drop down, try to avoid EMPs, and camo, and approach just very slowly. And then he'll be patrolling, and then at one point he'll look the other way, and then you'll be able to backsmack him fairly easily. But I got freaked out by those suiciding grunts, so I decided, you know what, I'm just going to take him out right now. With the second elite, you would just repeat, you would just retreat off. The elite actually comes up to where that first elite was, the one that I took out very quickly. If you don't manage to take him out very quickly, he'll come up to where that second elite was, and then you can repeat the same tactic, camoing, and he's in patrol mode, and you'll be able to take him out.
Mayday, mayday, mayday.
So just a couple more grunts have spawned. Those are just the 2 jackals that were there with the initial group.
No response. But from the strength of that signal, the Infinity has to be close by. The Cartographer should be back online. We may be able to use it to track the ship's
There's a couple of
location.
jackals on the other side as well actually, but not quite as many as there would have been if I'd killed all of the enemies in this area. So I'm going to approach upon this right side. These are the enemies you absolutely have to take out in this area. The 3 jackals and the 2 elites, those are the ones you definitely have to take out.
We can't give the Covenant
If you
access to
approach
the
very
Cartographer.
aggressively, you'll be able to take
Clear
out
them
some of the jackals as they're walking to the Cartographer switch. Just looking for a shot on that jackal, not getting it. Now I'm going to swing over to the left side, because that will give me a very easy position to take out one of the elites with the carbine, and he'll just stand there taking it. Again, with jackals, try and surprise them around corners. If they're walking in a sort of patrolling manner, shoot them and they'll be surprised and look at you and reveal their heads. Or use an EMP from the plasma pistol and that will also get them to stumble. Also use grenades and that will get them to dive. Various tactics. Eventually took him out. See, he was patrolling, I shot him, he was surprised, managed to get the headshot. Now this is the position. If you're standing exactly here, and he'll come up to that position, that same position every single time, and he'll just let you shoot him with a carbine. And then there's demonstrating the EMP technique. So back to this elite. Just under 3 magazines of your carbine. We'll take out his shields and then you can headshot him. And he just takes it. Not sure why, but take what they give you. There we go. Now there's just one more elite left. I'm actually going to swing around back around to the other side. And then again, this is because of the geometry differences between the sides. This side is a bit more angular, gives you more opportunities to get close to the Cartographer button where the elite is patrolling around without being seen. There's just an awkward tunnel on the other side. So here he is. Be careful, I was very aggressive here. And also a little bit lucky.
That's it. Now quick.
But basically you want to get him in patrol mode, wait till he moves off in a direction away from you, run in behind him, take him out. So now we're at the bridge, and as you notice there's not much time left on the clock in this video. So that means it's going to go by very, very quickly, and this is where the adrenaline really starts flowing. Camo in, sprint jumping over to here, then crouching down, all the way down to the bottom here on this little ledge. Since this phantom comes in, and there's a grunt gunner on it, and there's more enemies dropping down, you really can't advance at this point anyway. Even if you take out the enemies that are immediately to my right on the actual bridge, you still can't advance until that phantom moves away. So just going here just means I don't have to deal with any enemies. So my camo is just about recharged. I'm going to camo, jump up. That covers my first couple of jumps, and now I'm sprinting, so camo isn't really effective. But the speed here is what matters. Should be a couple of enemies here and get my shields back a little bit. Now this next section is the hardest part. That bit was basically the easy bit. Camo past that elite. There's a jackal there. Whoops. Shot me in the face. The jackals with beam rifles aren't instant kills, fortunately. Sprinting up here, still camoing, trying to get in the Banshee. This is the part that can go to hell. So if you have trouble with it, just take that bit a lot slower. Then rushing all the way to the end. Very careful about this elite. Blocking him in or splattering him if I can.
Chief, the Covenant net's going crazy. They're ordering all units to converge on the tower.
Wow, that didn't take long. Now we're up to the final area. The bit you saw at the start of this video, in fact. But there's a couple more tricks in addition to that. Just going to take out these first few because I need to advance and take out one of those ghosts, and so I can use it. Take out that turret as well. Now you don't want to be too stealthy, you don't want to be hiding too much, because otherwise the ghosts have a tendency to retreat, and that's not what you want. You want it to be very close. Using these collections of pillars for cover, as and when I can. EMP him, and that's what I have the plasma pistol for this whole time. Just this one little bit. Wait a couple of seconds for the boost to recharge, and then boost all the way along the right side. This is by far the clearest area. Make sure you try and splatter everything here.
We're about to have our hands full.
I think they end up killing themselves. Now all those enemies that I just went straight past, they're all completely gone. So I've got free reign of this whole area now. There's actually an elite on the ledge behind me, with a couple of grunts even behind him. So he'll take a few pot shots at me. So that's why I'm camoing. And the adrenaline, as you might imagine, doing these last two areas so quickly. Just absolutely pumping, the nerves are going. Like, oh my god, I don't want to fail now. So that's why I'm screwing up a couple of times. It is a pretty difficult jump. The rocks are kind of slippery. So I want to jump up to here. And then if you jump up immediately, and then go around the corner straight away, then there'll be a couple of grunts and a jackal, and they'll be too surprised. If you don't do that, if you back off, if you're too timid, another elite, another jackal, and a jackal sniper will spawn as well. You don't want that. So now since I did that jump up the side there from the rocks, the trigger for the phantom that comes in and drops the hunters and 2 elites that are guarding this door up here, completely missed that. So you don't have to deal with any of those.
While you were busy, I managed to clear up another transmission from Infinity.
Sounded like he said.
So taking that last area, which is often very intimidating for a lot of people, and making it very, very simple.
Where's the terminus?
The map placed it at the
So
top of
that's
the tower.
all the enemies, that's all the areas,
The Sentinels
just a little
are
bit of
trying to
waiting
keep
now.
the Covenant out.
As I said, the time for this is under 18 minutes, about 17:55 I make it. By far the fastest one so far. Before this video ends, thanks to Sliding Ghost for a couple of tricks I used there. He let me know about the despawn trick, and also that tactic for the first half of the bridge. So I hope you enjoyed it. You've been watching Master RC. My main channel is RCVGS. On the left you'll have a link to the next level Forerunner on LASO in under 18 minutes, and on the right you'll have a legendary solo speedrun of Composer in under 16 minutes. I'll see you guys next time.